There are two broad categories of content that you'll use in SharePoint: libraries and lists. That's not all-inclusive, but it's a lot of your content, and lists are analogous to Microsoft Excel spreadsheets or task lists in applications like Microsoft Outlook. In a list, each row is a record and has information. So if we look, for example, at the Events web part, it's a list. And actually, the Newsflash web part above it is also a list. The library, on the other hand, on the right, New This Week, is actually composed not of records of information, but of documents. And so every single item here is a document. We can also have picture libraries that hold images, or video libraries, or we can put pictures and videos right here in this library if we wish. There are some basic things that you can do to every web part, whether it contains a library or a list. For example, I can choose to sort this in alphabetical order. Simply click on the name hyperlink. We wait a second, and now it's sorted in order. Click again. It's sorted in the opposite order, ascending or descending. Or I might say, I'd like to be able to filter this list. Just show me documents from Mark, and the list will be filtered. You see the little filter symbol, little funnel. I can remove that filter, simply clear the filter or add other folks. So the ability to sort and filter, that works just fine. And when I'm actually in the web part clicking on items, I get the tools that would be available to me in the document library. Here's my Files tab. Here's my Library tab. But when I'm on the page itself, I just clicked here, those items go away. And the easiest way for me to access the ribbon that goes with my library, as opposed to the ribbon that's designed for this page, is to actually open the document library by clicking this hyperlink or the Documents link over in the Quick Launch. Now those two tabs are back. I can browse. I can click Files and see the commands that work with Files. I can click Library and see the commands that work with the library. So let's talk about these for a moment. We'll be spending more time on the Files tab of the library when we talk about how we edit, save, and share documents. But broadly, if what you want to do is to change something about one document or learn information about one document, then you're going to find that on the Files tab. This is where you would create a new document in this library using the default template. This is where you would upload a document to the library, create a new folder. Please don't do this until we've talked some about metadata later in this course, because folders are nowhere near as useful in SharePoint as they are in Windows, and they actually get in the way sometimes. This is where you would select a document and edit it. This is where you manage documents. This is where you download copies of documents so you can use them, and where you would tag documents. You'll notice that most of the commands on this ribbon are not enabled right now. That's because no document is selected. But if I select a document, notice that this ribbon comes to life so that we could actually go in and work with these tools that are file specific. When I click the Library tab of the ribbon, I see some ways that I can use this particular library or ways that I can modify it. For example, when I'm looking at this library right now, I'm seeing one view of this library. It's called All Documents, and it's the default view. But there are actually two other views available in this library. One is called By Category, and this is a view that's sorted by the category of the document, a custom field that I added, and we'll talk more about how you can add custom fields to your libraries in another movie in this section. And then there's a view called New Documents. This is actually a dynamic view, and it shows us documents from the last 7 days. This view was created to work with the web part on the home page of our intranet, where it has that Documents New This Week. So views allow us to see all of the documents in a different order or a subset of the documents by applying a filter. Of course, we also have the ability to search and to find a file, which we'll talk about later, and the ability to add a document either by clicking New Document and uploading it or dragging files here. Now, all of those views that exist are also available here on the ribbon. Here's our default view called All Documents. That's the view that will be shown to everybody as soon as they click on the Documents link to come into the library. And then the By Category view and the New Docs view. This is also where I'd modify a view, where I would create a new view, where I would choose a view, and where I could even add a column that didn't already exist to this view and to the entire library. This is where I would email a link to one or more selected documents to someone or to the entire library. I could go see the items that were most popular. It's a way of tracking. I could export this list to Microsoft Excel using Connect and Export, and I can customize this library in ways you'll see later in this section. So when you're in a document library, the Files tab shows you commands that are pertinent to one or more selected files. The Library tab shows you commands that are pertinent to the entire library, including the creation of new views. Whenever you're in a document library, or whenever you are working in a web part that is displaying a document library, these are the commands that you'll see to use that library in Microsoft SharePoint.